Riders ready, watch the gate.
Welcome to stop number 2 of the UCI BMX Supercross World Cup Tour. We're here in Papendal, Holland, and you can see right now we have practice group A on the track. They're winding down their practice, about 15 minutes left, but it's going to be interesting to see stop number 2. As you can see behind me, for once, it's nice and it's not raining. It's sun's coming in and out, so it's good to be here out in Holland where the weather conditions are right. Last couple days it rained a little bit. But as you can see, this is the schedule for today. We're going to have practice with Group A, that's on track right now. Then we move into Group B with the men. Then we move on to Group C, and that's what will all go down today. Then when we get into the program for tomorrow, qualifications start at 1400 for the men and women, and then we'll go into those time trial super finals for each of the men and the women and crown a winner tomorrow night. And then we move on to the racing portion of things. And we get into the 8th finals. So we have the 8th finals for the men, quarterfinals for the women, then we move into the quarterfinals for the men, and then we'll move on to those semifinals. These are all those from the quarterfinals on, single elimination. We show live race footage from those quarterfinals on, and then we'll move into the semifinals, and then you'll have those 2 main events at the end of the day Sunday, and we'll crown champions here in Papendal for stop number 2. So stop number 1, a lot of excitement, a lot of different things, a lot of new additions to the crew. And just, a lot of good things going on here in Papendal. So with things going on, we're excited to have for the rest of this season and a great addition to the stellar commentating crew of myself, now with Mr. Mike Day. Mike, it's good to see you. Tell us what you've been up to.
Still riding bikes, just a different bike now, but I'm still on my 20s quite a bit, but now just a fan watching.
So the track out here, we'll go through the animation right now and show you the track. You've ridden it, so you can just talk through what the the 2 different editions of the course are. Give the riders some insight when we give you that track preview here in just a moment. So Mike, talk us through. You're the red arrow. That's the men's side. Talk us through this track.
Yep, you're coming down the front straightaway, and obviously you have this big triple into the turn. And big thing here in Papendal is the turns. They're so wide and such a big track. Obviously the London crossover, and it comes into this uphill section that's kind of funky that the guys are kind of trying to figure out now in practice. And then through this pretty big technical rhythm section and into the last straighaaway.
So yeah, coming down to get a perfect lap out here, it's pretty difficult on this track, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it's super challenging. I mean, I haven't been here since 2012, and I walked the course yesterday, and it's a big track. I mean, it's super wide open, a lot of room to pass, and a lot of area for these guys to make a lot of mistakes. So to have perfect laps is going to be challenging for these guys.
So what's going to be perfect for us, though, is to have Mike join us for the rest of the season. He'll be in with us on Saturdays and Sundays, and you'll just be giving us a lot of the insight. You've had some great success in this sport, and now it's, I know you can't walk away from it. You're always coming back. We might see you out on the track from time to time as well.
I don't know about that. I'll be more of a fan. I like watching now.
So, okay. Well, Mike, it's like I said, it's going to be great to have you join in with us in the booth and, like I said, give that expert analysis and really let us know what's going through these riders' minds.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Watching practice kind of reminds me of last racing here. So, yeah, it'll be good to kind of go through the motions again and kind of get the pre-race jitters that these guys are going through. So, yeah, it should be fun.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Mike. So, as Mike walks away, it's been, like I said, it's great to have the expert with Mike Day. Hopefully I know a little bit about the track. But you may have tuned in Manchester and we have a new presenter at the finishing area. It's going to be Lauren. Lauren, we want to let the fans get to know you a little bit more. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I actually am a big extreme sport enthusiast. I had my own show called Women vs. Workout, where I went and tried crazy different extreme sports, to different fitness challenges, to different crazy jobs like firefighter training or Navy SEALs. And it was just a really high intensity, cool job. And I got to try BMX, and I fell in love with BMX. It was probably one of my more difficult challenges. And now I get the pleasure to cover the sport. I'm definitely by no means an expert, but I'm one of the biggest fans, and I just want to learn as much as I possibly can. I just like to hang out with the riders and ask them some questions, get to know them a little bit more. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. You guys can follow me on Instagram and my Instagram's Lauren Berlingeri. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be sure to pass them along.
So Manchester, from an outsider's perspective, for your first time to see Supercross up live, what did you take away from it?
Well, it was pretty intense. Like, I was watching some clips of the BMX Supercross before I came, and I was like, oh yeah, it looks pretty intense. But when you're actually there and you see the massive ramp and just how quickly the sport goes, I fell in love with it even more. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the riders. It's so difficult. These guys are true athletes. So that was really impressive for me, and it just made me feel even more comfortable and knowing I'm in the right spot, because there's so much more to learn than I realized.
All right, well, that's awesome. So we really look forward to getting your insight and seeing the sport through your eyes through the rest of the season.
Yeah, guys, let me know if you have any questions. I would love to pass it on. I'm going to be intimate and interactive with these guys, so let me know if you have any questions.
All right, thanks so much. Next up, the Umbrella Man's here. I think this might be his way of keeping the rain away, being prepared, but it's going to be Johan Lindstrom, the orchestrator of the UCI Supercross World Cup Tour. Johan, we're back in Papendal for the 5th time. Tell us about the experience here.
Well, obviously, you know, we've experienced a lot of stuff here in Papendal, a lot of legendary stuff, and I think this weekend will be not be any difference. We came prepared. We brought the umbrellas, we brought the plastic to cover the track. We did everything preparing for rain, and so far it looks like we're staying away from it. So, but hey, I'll use the umbrella for the sun now because it's getting pretty hot here, right?
Yeah. So last year, like I said, we had a little bit of rain, but still the racing was just as good, if not better, to watch those finals. So the track's got, I think, a few tweaks to it from last year to this year as well. But what kind of racing, now it's nice and dry and the track's super smooth here. What should we expect to see, like a big difference from Manchester?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, this track has been here for quite some time now, and it's a favorite track for many riders. It's wide open. It's full speed, big jumps. The only difference from last year is the first obstacle after the start ramp, which is basically just a copy of the World Championship indoor jump they had last year in Rotterdam. These guys wanted to practice that jump, and we actually didn't change it back because just after we leave here, this track is going to get a major overhaul. So this is going to be the last race on this legendary track. So it's going to be a good one. I mean, we've seen a lot of passes on this track, and that's what the fans like. And hopefully we're going to see a lot of that action going down this weekend too.
Yeah, always some great racing here, and as well, it's like this is a pure staple of the Supercross circuit. But we get a little bit of break after here, and then we head into new territories, don't we?
Absolutely, we get a little bit of a break. We got obviously the World Championships in Belgium coming up in July, but straight after that we go to Sweden for Ängelholm. That's going to be a new stop on the circuit. We've never been in Sweden, so I'm sure we got a bunch of Supercross fans up there, so that's going to be cool. And then we head over to Argentina, a well-known spot that we've been for a couple of years now in Santiago del Estero. Although the finals will be held in Rock Hill, South Carolina, so we were excited about that. First time the Supercross is on the East Coast, and we expect a lot of people to turn up and look at the great action. And obviously that's where we're going to crown the World Cup champ. So it's hopefully we're going to go down to the wire like last year.
So exciting, as the whole schedule, but I think for you especially, and I think a lot of fans and the community there, going to Sweden for the first time. I think you have some experience with the country, but tell us what we can expect once we get there.
Well, Sweden, we got Volvo, we got Blondes, and we got it's going to be a good time. I mean, Sweden is always there's super friendly people out there. I mean, you know a couple of Swedes, right? Yeah. And some of them talk more than others, but it's going to be fun. And it's on the Swedish west coast, which is kind of a party central party hub there, and it's summertime. It's in August. It's still vacation time up there, so a lot of people will still be on vacation. So we're thinking a lot of people and a lot of good times.
Well, again, we're super excited to be here in Papendal, but again, the rest of the year, just a lot of new places to go, great places to see, and we thank you so much for all the effort you put into making this series happen.
Yeah, I just want to get a little quick note on the the Elite Tracks Double Dice. double the prize money on Sunday, and I think this track here is definitely more suitable for that than Manchester. We had a very short first straight, and I actually talked to Mars Strombergs, who did that in 2012 exactly on this track. He won from lane 8, so he said he would definitely go for it if it's in the final. So that's going to be some exciting stuff for the fans as well.
And yeah, to talk about that, the double dice promotion that you guys have, this is going to be the opportunity. I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be here, because as a lot of riders have alluded to, that outside lane, there's not as big of advantage normally with lane 1 here.
Exactly, and like I said, this is a very long first straight, and if you get the good gate and you get the pull, then again, like I also try to explain to the riders, hey, the double dice doesn't mean you have to win to the first turn. It's not a whole shot award or anything like that. So you don't have to be first the first turn, as long as you're first at the finish line, and you can pick them off on the third straight and here in the crossover jump like we've seen many times. So I think we can see a double prize money this weekend.
Yeah, a lot of passing opportunities on this track. If you remember last year, I think it was Liam Phillips hole-shotted, Twan Von Gent got around him, and then Sam Willoughby stalked him all the way and passed him in the last turn. So it was a great race with those bad conditions, but still an incredible race. Well, once again, thanks so much, Johan.
All right, thanks, Pete, and don't forget to tune in on the action Saturday, Sunday on BMX Live.
Awesome. So what we wanted to do too is get you, practice is going on, so we have a lot of riders kind of trying to get this track dialed in. It's a completely different track than we've been anywhere else. But if you go back to, stop number 1 on the tour, we had some great racing. And in the women's class, it was just incredible racing all day long from Caroline Buchanan. So we're going to have a word here with Caroline to get your thoughts back on stop 1. Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, stop number 1, just tell us how that day went for you. I mean, we saw that you won, but you made it look really easy, but we all know it's not that easy. So just kind of talk us through the day.
Yeah, it went pretty well. Like, first stop of the season's always that tough one. You're coming in, it's fresh slate. The last year, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's won, who sat where in the series. It's just fresh slate, all or nothing, who's done the homework in the off season, who's riding fast. So yeah, it's always fun to kind of just get out there and practice, and we had a lot more girls than normal as well in this race. I think it's like in the 60s, so every race just seems to be getting more and more girls. They're having not as much trouble with the tracks. It's really cool to see the progression.
So also, think back to last year winning the championship. I know it's something that it's a crowning achievement, but it didn't stop there for you. As well as you went to Manchester, won there, you also went back last weekend back to Australia and had some success there as well.
Super fast turnaround. We just raced the Nationals as well as the Oceanas, so we had both races straight off the back of that first World Cup, and it's tight. We did it last year, so I guess the Australians were used to it, but yeah, it was a very fast turnaround, and when we fly to Australia, it's clocking over about 40 hours of travel time. So I think we worked out in the last basically 20 days, it was 4 time zones, 4 major races, 3 different countries, and we spent about 6.5 days of travel. So yeah, it does get a little bit tiring on the body, but we're all here now and the sun's out, which is different compared to last year, which everyone's got smiles on their face yeah, ready to go.
So speaking of the track here, last year, it's behind us. We're here now. You won the first stop. How are you going to carry that momentum on? You had time to eye the track up. It's primarily the same track, a little bit different first jump, but how are you going to carry that momentum and move on this weekend in the program?
Yeah, well, it's good to always kick off the season with a win, and when you have a good event, it's easy to carry that momentum into the next event. Obviously, you have a bad race, it's then a little bit harder to then pick yourself back up. So coming off the win in Manchester really helps. But this track, it's fun. This will be, I think, my 4th year now at this World Cup event. This is one of my first World Cups that I actually got on the podium. So I've got good memories of the last straight passing Magley to get on the podium. I've got some other memories of Elise jumping over all the girls' heads in another final and taking a 2nd place at that World Cup. Then previously last year, coming to the last turn when Hernandez bombed on the inside of me and she got on the podium. So yeah, every year there's been some good memories, some not so good memories, but it's a track that always puts on a good show. It's always good racing right down to the wire and right through to the end, and rain, hail or shine, this race goes on. They've got grip tape down the start ramp, so if it's raining, it just keeps on pushing on.
So we'll let you get back to checking out practice. Thanks so much. But we we like to let you. You're one of the favorites on the tour, so we want to. If you have anything to say, any sponsor stuff, we'll let you get a little plug in. Thanks for showing up, by the way.
Sponsors. Well, actually, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so yeah, if Mum, you're watching, happy Mother's Day, early Mother's Day for you.
All right. Well, thanks, Caroline, and good luck this weekend and for the rest of the season. We know we will see you throughout the program as well, though.
Cool. Thanks, Pete.
All right. So Caroline Buchanan, the winner of stop number 1, as you heard, also the new Australian national champion, actually consecutive. She won it last year as well. So good to hear from Caroline, get her insight. We're going to try to grab Liam. He's still practicing. I know that there was a lot of this track is completely different from Manchester. You know, one of the things we have already talked about was his goal was to come out and win one of these really big Supercross tracks. So we'll see how things work out for him, and I think he's going to use every moment. There's 10 more minutes of those elite men's practice, so we might not see him because he might be right at the end of today's program. But we've got so many things going on here that's just incredible to join on this Supercross tour. And tomorrow we're going to have all of the racing for you. You know, on Sunday, we're going to start from the quarterfinals. We're going to give you a recap of those 8th finals for the elite men's motos, and then we'll move on in that program and show you all of the live racing for the quarterfinals. So that's the program that we have for you. And as you can see, you know, just a lot of interesting things going on the Supercross tour. And we'll just give you a little bit of a pan in on the track. You can just look down that first straightaway a little bit on the track. You can just see, we talked about the change of the first jump. It's really hard to notice, but the jump's just a little bit of a different step jump. It's what they had at that World Championships, as Johan had stated. It was for the riders to get things ready. And, you know, but the big jump on that first straightaway is the jump into the turn. And as Caroline alluded to, that was where Elise was able to jump a couple of years ago. And that's really where we saw a huge jump in the women's progression on these Supercross tracks. So that first and second straightaway, just a lot of demands on a rider here. The second straightaway, especially for the men, as you can see, they come down, they have those 2 big step jumps, and then have this crossover jump into these asphalted S-turns with a little bit of an uphill, and then those riders are going to go into that third straightaway where it's super technical on the third straightaway here, where there's a jump in, a jump out, and you can see it straight down there. And it's really tricky for those guys to get through that section. And it's, you know, the riders talked about coming up this jump here, going in that third straightaway. You have to be pretty much perfect to get through this section, and then not get too far ahead of yourself thinking about that third straightaway. Because as you see, there's all those different lines throughout that third straightaway, but you just need to get that perfect one to have that great lap here in Papendal. And that's where we've seen crashes down there before. You know, unfortunately for Tori Nyhog, he had a pretty substantial crash there a few years back. And it's just one of those spots where, you know, the riders are thinking about the finishing area, but like I said, it's so technical. You have to be precise on that third straightaway to get through the track. So as practice is winding down, everyone's kind of tired, but that third straightaway is going to be that section that, like I said, it's really going to be a big challenge for these riders, and to see where things are on their program. And this track here, this is the one that will expose the rider's weakness. You know, if they're not the true power rider, they're going to have trouble with that first straightaway. But if they're ultra technical, that second and third straightaway is going to be right into their advantage, where they're going to be able to make those passes. And as we saw last year, you know, Sam Willoughby he kind of stalked Twan Von Gent down. Twan has this track wired, you know, it's his home track, but it got to that last turn, and just Sam dove underneath him. Those wet conditions, he was able to keep things locked up in the turn. You know, just had a good selection of tires that day, able to go around that turn and make the pass. So again, if you see on the screen right now, there's a discount code. That's good for all year long. If you go onto Dan's Comp, they're the presenters of the Dan's Comp preview show, obviously. So you use that code over there, discount code SX 2015, saves you 15% off at Dan's Comp. So as we said, we got a lot of riders that kind of work around the track, but somebody does extra time on any track is bobblehead behind us, bobblehead Barry. Barry,
What's up, Pete?
how's the track out there?
Yeah, it's good. We first got here to a bunch of rain, and now sun's out and we're riding. The track's in good shape, having a good time.
So we talked a little bit about Mike Day. He kind of forgot about the track because it's been like 3 or 4 years since he's raced.
Yeah.
So just tell us, we just had Caroline up here. She kind of gave us a little bit of her insight from the years past, but you just got to ride the track. We talk about a little bit of a change on that first jump, But talk about the track in general and how it feels.
I mean, the track's the same as it has been for the last couple years, besides that first jump. They changed that to mock up the World Championships last year, and it's kind of tough. You know, it's a short jump. I mean, we got so much speed off that hill. We're pushing down as hard as we can to land manual, like on the second half, which is 10, 12-foot gap. We're normally used to hitting 35 to 40, you know, so that definitely changes it up. I think come racing, when it's quarterfinals, semifinals, when everybody's even, banging elbows over the first jump. Normally we're in the air, banging elbows. Now we're going to be trying to land manual, everybody doing different lines, and that's going to change it up. But everything else is actually pretty good. As much rain as they've had the past couple days, track's in great condition.
So would you classify this track as a fun track to ride, or is it something that's so technical that it's like puts you on the edge the whole time?
I mean, the sport has progressed so much. It's definitely a technical track, but we have more tracks. We have other tracks that are way more technical. I mean, I would say Manchester is more technical than this one, but this track is big and wide open. There's room for racing, passing in turns. You can open it up on the straightaways. So, I mean, I would prefer to ride this track any day. Manchester's great for training and having fun and riding, but this is what I prefer, just wide open. You can really kind of open it up. I mean, obviously the gate to the first jump is always important, your first straightaway, but here there's always a little more room for error. You know, you can have a little mess up down the first straightaway and still have plenty of room to make up for it.
So I know the viewers on Sunday were super excited to have you in the booth with us. I know you weren't excited because that meant you didn't progress through the program. But so we don't want you in the booth anymore. We brought in Mike Day because we want you to be out there and we want to see you, you know, do your thing. But we'll get to see a bird's eye view you tomorrow with you're going to do that GoPro course preview later on today, right?
Yep, absolutely. We're going to do that after all the practice is done, since they're not really letting us have the cameras on the helmets anymore for racing. We'll do it afterwards, and yeah, you guys will see it tomorrow. Hopefully I don't see you guys or you guys hear me, so.
All right, well, thanks so much for stopping by, Barry, and good luck on this track this weekend.
Thanks, Pete.
So our buddy Barry, we had to retire him from the commentary booth because he was so much better than me. So, but you know, as I said, brought in Mike Day, so should be interesting to get Mikey's perspective of things. As we said, you know, Olympic silver medalist, doesn't get much better than that to see what kind of, you know, things are going to go out on the track. So, you know, to give you the true insight, we really want to get someone that spends a lot of time out here, a lot of you know, man hours on the bike, but as well as, you know, instructing others. And he's the guy that's really raised the level of what this great program is here. It's going to be Mr. Bas de Bever.
What's up, Pete?
Bas, tell us about your super track out here.
Well, what's there to tell? Look around and you see how it is. I think it's one of the best facilities around at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we just interviewed Barry, and we kind of said, you know, what's your ideal track? And he basically said this was what he wanted. He's like, Manchester's fun, but coming out here, plenty of speed, plenty of jumping, plenty of passing opportunities, has a perfect blend and mix of everything.
Right. It's wide open. It's what Barry said. It's wide open. I mean, indoors, like in Manchester, a bit more compact and less room to play with, but here there's a lot of room to play with, and we try to use it. Having said that, we're going to plow it down, though, next week and restructure.
So, yeah, so what are the plans for the new track out here?
Well, obviously, we're going to try and take some elements that we're expecting in Rio, a few jumps here and there and a couple of turns. So mainly the half that you see on this side will reconstruct.
So you coming out here, we know you spend a lot of time on your bike. You know, a lot of people know you, Bas de Bever, as the coach, but they don't necessarily remember what kind of great, not only mountain bike rider you were, but a BMX rider. So why don't you remind some people what your credentials are?
I'm not too keen on talking about myself. When you're hitting almost 50, that era I treasure a lot, but it's far gone. It's, you know, this is what I do now, so I need to stick to that.
Nobody cares about me, but one of my first international experiences was to see Bas. And back then, Bas, I don't know if it's any possible for him to get any shorter, but he was just an ominous character out there, and he was out there to do business. I mean, I think you've instilled that in a lot of the riders that you work with, because I remember you were one of the most serious guys out there, always super fast on the track, super technical, but just a great, approachable guy off the bike. And I think, you know, that was your one flaw for those international riders, to become too friendly with them. But you were you know, I remember from you from those BMX days and then on those mountain bike days, you're one serious character out there. So I know you've instilled a lot of that into the group of riders that you're working with now. You have some new guys too as well, some younger riders and some additions to the team. Talk about what it's like to find that new talent pool, and then how you help nurture them into becoming these great riders that we've seen to come from here.
Well, that's an easy question with not an easy answer. When I started this job 10 years ago, people asked me, or my federation asked me, to set up an Olympic program because BMX got into the Olympics. Normally you start building from the bottom up and do your little triangle thing up, but it was such a thing at that moment, we had to do top down. So you start to look for athletes that might be possible Olympians in 4 years' time, and you start to build from there. And that's what we did. And then throughout the 10 years, flash forward quickly, there's the high performance squad full-time at Papendal. Then there's the talent team full-time who lives and works at Papendal and does school around here. And then we've divided Holland in 3 different regions, with each region having their own little talent group. And like that, we try to work it up, get those kids up to eventually the high performance squad. Bearing in mind that it is quite impossible. I mean, if there's a pool of 500 athletes, not all 500 are going to win, are going to be world champ. There's only one, if you're lucky, 2 per generation. So there's stuff that you need to take in consideration. I think there's too less time to go really into depth how to build programs, but that's roughly how we're structured things in Holland, and it seems to work out pretty good.
Well, from a perspectives view, it definitely worked out really well, and we're really excited to have you not only on the whole tour, but here in your home country hosting us. So thanks so much for all you've done to make the sport better, working with the Supercross Association.
Oh, cheers, Pete. That's good to hear.
All right, so that was Bas de Bever, and as I said, he's done a lot of things here. So next up, you were waiting and waiting for him, and he brought a buddy with him. So we'll first get into with the champion from Manchester, the king of Manchester. You've been crowned, sorry. Liam Phillips. So Liam, stop 1 went really well for you. Just give us a quick recap. We talked with Carolyn about her day. How did your day go for you?
Pretty similar, I think. To be honest, you race and you're in your own little bubble and you don't really know what's going on in the women's side of things, but for me it was almost absolutely perfect weekend. Obviously just picked Connor for the time trial on the Saturday night, and then went on to win every lap on the Sunday, which is that's absolutely perfect. It's exactly how I would have liked the weekend to go, but obviously it's BMX and anything can happen.
So now we're at stop 2, and we sat down and we interviewed with you, and you said your goal, I don't let the cat out of the bag, but your goal was to win on a big outdoor Supercross track. I think Papendal really fits the mold for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously we're getting close to the Olympics, and I've proved my worth on these sort of tight indoor tracks. But I've finished on the podium a few times outdoors. I finished 3rd here last year, but I'm yet to win one. So there's a few options this year. There's obviously Papendal, Sweden, the Worlds, obviously the test event. Pretty much every race, every Supercross race we do now is a big outdoor Supercross race. So there's plenty of opportunity, and I said also after the race that for me it's almost as important just to try and learn my trade this year, and if I can manage to stand on top of the podium, that would be amazing.
All right, so we're going to be excited to watch you progress through this weekend. Thanks for stopping by. I know you wanted to get every last minute of practice, and we appreciate you coming by afterwards.
This track's it's one of the toughest on the circuit, so although we've raced here a few times, you still got to make the most of the time that you're given. So I'm glad that I was able to do that.
All right, well, good luck this weekend. Thanks. And while we have you, Mr. Connor Fields, as Liam said, nipped you right at the line there in Manchester, but here we are in Papendal. You look really good out there. Both you guys look really good on the track. So how are you feeling coming into stop 2 here?
Feeling really good. I mean, it's been a great year so far. Won a few rounds back home. Won a Euro round and all that, and I was feeling good in Manchester. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get in the main event. But the great thing about BMX is there's always another race in a couple weeks.
So coming to this track, I think it's one that tell us how it fits your style of riding, because you seem to be a guy that's easily to adapt to a lot of places. But I think Papendal it's a whole different animal.
Yeah, Papendal, I mean, I think it's safe to say, most of us would agree that this is probably the most difficult track for a host of reasons on the circuit. With lap times close to 40 seconds, you got to be in shape and you got to be able to manage, really big, steep technical jumps, all day long. And yeah, I mean, it really is probably the hardest round we do all year. But like you said, we've raced here before, and I think we all kind of know what to expect, and we can, prepare ourselves for what we're going to do.
All right, so you get it right here from the cream of the crop in the elite men's class, and you get to hear from Caroline, so we're really excited about the weekend's activities. So you come in tomorrow, we'll have you those qualification races. On Sunday, we'll have from the quarterfinals on live here on BMX Live TV, so make sure you tune in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to throw into a couple commercials for the World Championships of BMX. That's going to be in July.
July, it's older.
As well as some information on the European Games that will be in June. Thanks so much for tuning in today to the Dance Comp Preview Show. Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Liam. Thank you, fans, for tuning in. And we will see you tomorrow here on BMX Live TV.
From the shores of the Caspian Sea, in the ancient land of Azerbaijan, rises the first European Games. Be part of sporting history in Baku this June. The European Games, Baku 2015, rise to the occasion.